All right, today I'm joined by Paul Foster. Paul, you are the Director of Soccer at NCFC Youth, an NC Courage Academy coach, and also a parent in the club. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Paul, just to kind of give you a little bit of give folks a little bit of a background on you, kind of how you got here, and maybe what your current role is.
Yeah, been with the club now for 14 years. Served in a variety of different roles. Starting as our youth director, overseeing our eights, nines, and tens. Then moved into our classic director, overseeing the whole classic program, and then thankfully now in the director of soccer role, trying to oversee everything that we do from a soccer standpoint. Also have two daughters. One is a sophomore in college, who was playing college soccer as a byproduct of her experiences here at NCFC and in the NC Courage program. And my youngest daughter is in our Courage Academy program and plays on our current U17 Academy team.
And just to give everyone a little bit of a backstory, I've known Paul and his family for a while. I recall way back when in Winston-Salem, and this would have been good 15 years ago maybe. Paul telling me his daughters were not into soccer, or he didn't see them being soccer players. Yep. So a lot sort of changed in that period.
I would say I probably got it all wrong, as we often do as parents, and was not sure they would continue to play, but both did. And I would attribute it to wonderful coaches and experiences here. Maybe this is why I'm on the podcast, because Andy actually coached my eldest daughter and still remains my wife's favorite coach of all of the coaches that my daughter has had. So very thankful for that. But I would say that the coaches that have impacted both of my daughters in their time probably have helped them fall in love with the game. And as a byproduct of them falling in love with the game, they're both continuing to play.
Fantastic. Just one of the things we talk about is sort of connection, something we're talking about in terms of culture and stuff with the club now. I know you've coached a lot of teams all the way through to them sort of graduating and going off into college. So you've seen a lot of parenting. You've been a parent yourself. Yeah. I'm sure you've made a few missteps along the way. But what does good soccer parenting look like to you?
Yeah, I think the message is probably really simple. Just be your kid's biggest fan. If you can always be their biggest fan, there will be times where there's going to be challenges, there's setbacks, there's disappointing results. There's days where maybe they don't want to go to practice. There's days where they don't play as well as you'd like them to play or think that they should play. And there's so many of those different adventures. But at the end of the day, if the kids feel like your own kids feel like you believe in them and you're the biggest fan, I think that helps instill a safe space for them with the sport. And at the end of the day, at the end of a game, at the end of a training session, if a parent can just jump in the car afterwards and say, it was so good watching you play today, it made my day. Even if you don't necessarily always feel that, I think it's better that you say that and you fill them with love and enthusiasm for the sport they play. And hopefully as a byproduct of that, they feel that it's an important part for them too.
Have you seen parents go too far the other way with being a fan? You know, sometimes a fan is short for fanatic, right? So sometimes as parents, we can kind of insert ourselves into situations where maybe the better option is to back away.
Yes, I've definitely seen it. I've probably been there myself as a parent. I have a unique role in the sense that I'm a parent and I'm also a coach. So I always feel like the best thing that we can do as parents, even if we are fanatics, is trust the coaches that your daughter or your son or sons or daughters are playing for, and give them the support that they need to be successful with your own kids. And ultimately, I think that has a huge role and has played a huge role for both of my own daughters. I've always supported the coaches they've had. I haven't always agreed with every decision that they've made. Sometimes, quite frankly, disagreed. But at the same time, I've never showed that disagreement in front of my own daughters and done nothing but show support for the coaches that have coached my daughters, because I believe that's the best way to act. And as a coach myself, I would hope that the parents that I'm working with right now and the kids that I'm coaching, their parents are supporting me in the role that I'm in, even though that's going to present some challenges along the way.
Did you do anything different in terms of school to sports, do you feel? Like, you know, because I think soccer's a different one. We kind of get to see them in the classroom, whereas at school they're just with the teacher and we get a report cards.
Yeah. My wife and I took a very similar approach. We didn't go into class with our kids at school, and we didn't go to soccer practice with them either. We dropped them off, wished them luck, and got them on the way. And then we were there. We made sure we were there at the end of practice or at the end of school to pick them up. And we had the same conversations. How was your day? That's awesome. How did you do? Great. If they're struggling, find a way to help them. If they have challenges, find a way to support them. But ultimately, still find a way to be their biggest fan, which at times is difficult. But if they believe that you're their biggest fan, then I think they have a chance to be successful both academically in the classroom and also on the soccer field.
That's great. And I can speak when you talk about me being your wife's favorite coaches of your daughters. I can remember periods where you were telling me that your child didn't want to come to practice. So there's certainly some struggles along the way. It's certainly not this, rocket trip to the moon, so it's a roller coaster along the way, but credit to you and the girls and the environment you've created. In terms of tips and tricks, obviously there's a lot of first-time players going into this fall season, some players that are returning, maybe joining new teams, new environments. What are some things that you think parents can do to support their players, their environment, their teams? Because I know you've seen some parents where maybe they support the player but don't necessarily support the team and the coach, because that can create a unique dynamic too.
I think everything you say, even as parents, we might question sometimes whether the kids are listening to what we say. They always are listening to what we say. And that might just be conversations that we have at the kitchen table. Or that might be a conversation that we have in the car. I think the biggest thing we can do is share the stories that we have from our experiences and talk about how sport was great for us and playing sport and being a part of a team and being a teammate and all of the values that it teaches, and try to maybe not talk so much about where this is going to take them, but more so about the experiences that they can have as a byproduct of playing the game and how much fun it can be. And the only rule we had as a family is if we commit to something, we're going to follow through with that commitment. So if we make a commitment to playing on a team, we're going to see our commitment out through that year, because just like we make a commitment in life to certain things, it's the same in sport. So we felt the importance of teaching the girls that lesson, that even on the tough days, even when we didn't have a good day at school, we would find a way to say, we'll get there. We're going to go to practice. And if we need to go and get ice cream afterwards, we can do that. But you got to practice first.
Fantastic. Paul, I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man and it's a busy time of year, but I think some really good nuggets there for parents to get stuck into, and hopefully everyone enjoys their fall season with NCFC Youth.
Yeah, and wish every family, every player, every parent the very best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, and for this next segment, we're going to talk to one of our former players, Hannah Achilles. Welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
So my name's Hannah. I'm 19 years old. I go to Wingate University. I'll be a junior next year, and I played at NCFC. And now I do my internship here.
Fantastic. We're going to cover a lot of that. So we'll start from the beginning. When did you join NCFC Youth and why?
So I came to NCFC in 2018 for the 2018-2019 year. So I was in 8th grade, and I came because it's a little far from me.
Where do you live?
I live in Rocky Mount Wilson, over there. So I was at another club over there, and it's much smaller. So it was like kind of disbanding a little, and a lot of my friends from that club were coming here. So we just kind of all came here together and came to tryouts, and now I'm here.
Okay. And what programs and coaches did you play for?
So I played in the North. So go North. I played for White North when I first got here with Megan George. So I had Megan for 2 years. And then I played with Gold North and Gold South for a season with Tommy Retzloff. And then my senior year, they made like that put together team. We were called United. We played in the NLPC, and I had Pete Zayden. So
an elite premier program there at that point?
Kind of, yeah. Okay. So I played with them. I guess played with Premier some my senior year while I was with them. Got to play with some of the South teams, and yeah.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. And how do you look back on that decision? Like, why did you choose NCFC? Though it wasn't working out in your current club, but what made you make that jump, and how do you look back on that decision?
Well, I knew some people who had played at the club already, and I knew that it was much bigger and a lot more opportunities. And I have 3 older brothers, and they were like, one of them went to college and ran and whatever. So I knew I wanted to play in college. So I knew when my team was like getting thrown away, like I wanted to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I came to tryouts. I wasn't super set on coming. Even after tryouts, I was like, well, I'll think about it. Like, it's kind of far. But I knew I wanted to play in school, and it was just the best opportunity, I think. And I knew some of the girls from ODP already that I got put with, and some of my coaches.
So what did you get out of making that move? What did NCFC Youth do for you, or what opportunities were provided? How do you look back on that experience?
So obviously the showcase is really big, and
Mhm.
like there's a lot of coaches, and you can play with. Like I really like the fact that you can play. Like I was a North kid, but I got to play with South as well, so I got to play in different leagues and really do a lot of different things and lots of tournaments. And there's a lot more coaches, so like a smaller club, like it's obviously they don't have as big of a coaching staff, so you get to see a lot of different like tactical ideas and views and stuff like that.
Brilliant. A lot of exposure.
Yeah. Lots of
Fantastic.
that.
So we talked a little bit about your youth career. From your youth career, you end up going to Wingate. So what year are you in college now?
I'll be a junior, but I'm transferring to Wingate. So
Okay, I was going to say, I don't remember that. You threw me off with that one. Yeah, I didn't think that was
It'll
where
be
you were
my
at.
first year.
Okay. And why are we transferring?
Well, I was at Brevard College in the mountains. I was on their soccer team there. My senior year here, I actually broke my ankle and tore like my peroneus brevis and all of the ligaments up the right side of my ankle. Right before we went to regionals for
Good timing.
the end of the year. So that was good. But I didn't really know I had torn anything or done anything. They told me I just sprained my ankle. So I was kind of just playing on it. And then JB, like our head trainer here, he just kept like
Jason
limiting
Bailey, fantastic guy.
all my stuff. And then eventually he was like, I need you to go back to the doctor. Like go get this
out.
re-looked at. And then they were like, no, yeah, you messed that up. So by this point it was like the end of July.
Okay.
So I had to call my coach at school and tell him, oh, sorry, I can't play in the fall anymore. I have to get surgery. So I was there. I took a redshirt year, and I was going to have to redshirt again next year because now I've had like 3 surgeries on it. And I knew I wasn't going to play next year, and Brevard's really small, and it's really far from home. So I'm just going to go to Wingate. And Wingate was one of the schools that I had looked at really, really closely to go to right out of high school until I broke my ankle.
All right.
So,
exciting times. You're doing it all over again. Well, don't get injured in this next week or two.
Yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed.
So what are you studying at school? What's the goal?
I'm doing sports management and then a minor in coaching and communications.
Fantastic. That leads me well. So Hannah this summer has been working really, really hard with our camps department, and I think touching on every other department of the program. I think this is your second year you've done an internship with us. So talk to me about why you're doing an internship and why you're doing it with us and what you're getting out of it.
So I knew I wanted to do an internship out of my freshman year after that, and really getting hurt. I was doing biology and pre-med my freshman year. I wasn't doing sports management at all. And after I messed up my ankle, like I got to see a lot more of like the sitting out, like I got to watch a lot more of all the coaching stuff. And then my coach at school, he ended up putting me in charge of like recruitment and like all of that. So I got to touch on a lot of that and just see a lot more behind the scenes. So then I actually switched my major because of that. Wait, what was even the question? Oh, why am I here? So I knew I was
because this is your second go around with us, right? Like, so is it just to fill in the gap for the summer, or is there something?
So I saw the internship. Well, my mom actually sent it to me because she gets all the emails for all of that because she was my contact or whatever. So she had sent it to me, and then I had just played for Pete. Mm-hmm. So I texted him. I was like, "Hey, do you think I'd be good at this? Yeah. Like whatever." And he was like, yeah, you should apply, like totally. So then I did that. I came here last year and I had so much fun. Like I've never worked in like an office or anything like that. So when I walked into the office last year, I was like, oh no, like what am I getting myself into? But it was not at all what I thought it was going to be. It was great. And then I love the camps. Like I will like working with the kids. I coach some teams when I'm at school. So I really like working with all the kids. So camps got cut short like a little last summer because I had ankle surgery, one of those. So I knew I wanted to come back and kind of get to finish doing camps. And I work for Nicole is my main supervisor, Nicole Turner, and she is great. Like I want to be Nicole. Like
wow,
I really awesome. Like everything that she does. She does so many things.
Yeah.
Like she tells me something new she does. I feel like every other day. I have time for all of this. That's crazy.
Yeah, she's gonna have to reveal her secret sooner or later.
No, right? Like I need it.
So talk to me about camps, because I signed my kids up for 2 of my kids up for 3 weeks of camp.
Right, I had one of your
I didn't get any complaints. I didn't get any complaints, which is unusual for children, I feel, in this day and age, especially when it comes to camp and the heat that we're dealing with. But it was always great to see you out at camp, Hannah, because your energy, your positivity is a bit like your shirt. It was bright and cheery. how did camps go? What was that experience like? And what do you think for these kids moving forward now?
I think camps are really good. They're ages 4 through 14. And like when I've coached, I've always had like 10, like 9, 10. So the younger side of the kids. So I always like to be with them. I do some of like the camp counseling stuff, but a lot of the times I'm just kind of there for the camp counselors. I don't actually have a group. So I'm just kind of like running around doing check-in, doing like,
the odd jobs.
Yeah, doing some of that stuff. But I really like check in, check out. I like getting to like know the kids because they're funny. Like these kids are hilarious.
Yeah.
Like at lunch, you can like hang out with them and just talk. But they were really good. Like because it was really hot. Like some of these weeks were like crazy hot, especially the week right before the 4th. But we're lucky enough to have the indoor space with all the facilities we were at, so we put them in there. And the counselors were really good at like because they'll have their whole day planned out, and then it'll be like, we can't go outside anymore. Figure something else out.
Yeah.
And they were good at that. Like they switched that around.
We had the Olympics and
I got to run the Connections for Girls
the
Camp
Euros
this year,
with all that going on. It's getting busy, right?
Yeah, which we actually turned it into like we had an Olympic day at each Connections camp, which is our girls camp. It's only the second year we've had that. So it's ages like 12 through 19, and like they have guest speakers come like that do like business stuff and play soccer and whatever. So we made one of our days like an Olympic day. So they were all doing little like competitions and competing, and they got medals, and it was good.
So you're now involved in that camp as a college player and as doing an internship. What would that camp have been like for you, do you think, as a player?
Well, that's a fun one. I think like I came to some camps through NCFC when I was younger, but they weren't as like there wasn't a girls camp or like a specialized camp. I think that would have been really cool. I think it's really good, especially because you really get the kids who are serious about it. Like these kids want to go and play. So like just being able to talk to people who have done that. And most of our counselors that we had at that camp were either playing at school or already committed to go play somewhere at school. Right. So I think it's really good just to be able to talk to them, especially because I'd say the majority of the kids that go to the Connections camp are like, oh, I don't know if I want to play, like if it's something I want to do. So they can kind of talk about if they think that'd be cool for them.
Cool. Fantastic. All right, so we're going to wind. We've talked about where you are, where you were, where you are now. Let's wind back because we're starting off the season in the next couple of weeks here. I want to go back to the very first rec memories, right? Like when did you start playing? What was it that made you fall in love with the game? And can you remember your first recreation team?
Not well. I was in Wilson, so I played. I think we called it academy, but it was rec. Like it wasn't. It wasn't like
a nice
academy
label.
here.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, tag.
So I was there. I have 3 older brothers, so they were all involved in sports, and like 2 of them were playing soccer. So it just kind of like it just like happened. Like they play soccer, I play soccer. So I just I've played since like forever and ever. So like, but when I was at rec,
how old were you?
I think I was like 4, probably.
But
I didn't start. I started playing like classic or whatever.
Just jumped straight in. Like you're so good. You just bypassed rec altogether.
I think it was the club was really little. Right. It was really small.
So what made you fall in love with soccer? What are your first memories of playing?
Well, I'm a very like ADHD person, so if you couldn't tell. So a lot of it was like I just loved being outside. I loved running around. Like I did track as well all throughout high school because I just really like running. Yeah. So like I did track and I did some swim, some tennis, some basketball. But soccer was just always my favorite. Like I don't know. It's just so like all of it's so simple, but like you can like I just like it's like kick the ball, like like it's just like I just think it's so cool.
An easy game to pick up.
Yeah, kind of like a good like you can start with that, and there's so many different levels to soccer. Like you can play in a rec league, and it can be fun, or if you're better, you can play like with ECNL and some of those teams, and like it's just really enjoyable.
So, what advice? Two bits of advice. What advice would you have for a young Hannah Achilles now, if you could go back and give yourself some advice when you were younger?
As far as soccer, probably. Oh, you just did like a thumbs up. Probably.
It liked my question.
Yeah, probably to come to NCFC sooner. Like I wish I would have. Like I wish I would have come here sooner, but it was just a little bit coming from such a little place, like kind of intimidating.
Scary, yeah.
Yeah, like I was like, oh, I don't know.
We're not scary though, right?
No, they're not scary.
No, we're
at
not
all.
Scary.
Like, because obviously, like you'll see NCFC at all these like tournaments and everything, and they're like or one of the clubs to beat like the bigger clubs
Yeah.
or whatever. So I was like, oh, that's kind of no. I wish I would have gone sooner.
Okay.
Like just switched sooner.
So make the switch sooner. Okay. And then what advice would you have for, there's lots of families and young players that'll be starting out in the game for their first season this fall. What advice would you have for them in terms of their introduction to the game?
Oh,
or just the start of their season? What
right.
advice?
Just have fun. Like, especially, like, I also have 3 younger sisters. So, and like when they were starting, like sometimes it was more like, oh, I have to be really good. Cause like, or even me, cause like my brother's like good, whatever. But no, it's so fun. Like, especially when you're first starting, like most of my like best friends, like my roommate, like I met them playing soccer, like all of them. My coaches, I still talk to every coach I've ever had, actually. Because I only had one in Wilson. So
that was an easy one. Check that one off.
Yeah, still talk to all of them. Like, they're all great. Like my college coaches, like there's just so many connections you can make doing that. And like all of my, like everyone I talked to, most of them I met playing soccer or even working here. Like Bella and Devin.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I met them through this. And they're like my best friends.
Fantastic.
It's great.
Well, Hannah, that concludes, I think, our first player segment of the podcast. I really appreciate your time. And I know this is your last day of your internship too. So I think just on behalf of everyone at the club, I want to say a personal thank you. So I think you've done great at camps. My kids loved it. They were coming home, dragging me out onto the fields at night, which after a hard day in the office, I wasn't exactly looking forward to going out in the sweltering heat. But it's a testament to the work that you, Nicole, and the interns all did this summer, and all the camp staff as well. Fostering that environment where the kids want to keep playing and get out and enjoy it. So hopefully that carries over into the fall and you have a great college season, and best of luck at Wingate. And thank you very much for getting us started this season.
Go win CFC. How do we? Well, I guess we can't do that with our fingers. I was trying to like do the whole thing. I guess we can't.
Don't start something we can't maintain. I'm not that ambidextrous, I'm afraid. Fantastic. Thank you.